going on, YouTube? Dirty Harry back here with my TNA Impact review. Oh man, let me start by saying rest in peace to Paul Bearer. Grew up with him, great entertainer. Sad to see him go. But I'm not gonna spend too much time on that. This whole aces and eights angle is just funny, and I think the only way to honestly enjoy it is to not take it seriously anymore. You know, just to use our minds to pretend it's just a big bad joke. First of all, TNA, please fire whoever wrote this storyline. The show opened just how it should open. You know, we get a follow up on Kurt Angle, who makes it seem like a huge deal that, you know, he unmasked the guy and whatnot, and it's going to be a big deal. It's supposed to send shockwaves through TNA, right? Right? Alright, we get Austin Aries, he comes out, and we get another bullet into our souls because we hear the Impact Zone, which is maybe half real fans and the other half is just random people who had nowhere else to go, really. I mean, you see the crowd, and you know they ain't about the life. You know, they're not like us, you know. They're not people who pop on, you know, regularly to check in on a product. They were just probably a bunch of drunk guys trying to film The Hangover 1 who said, hey, man, let's go to that wrestling show, man. We ain't got shit else to do. It's not Friday. Yeah, man, you right. Let's go there and just get drunk, you know? That's what I see when I see the Impact Zone. They're just randomly clueless most of the night. Can't wait for TNA to get back on the road. Also, TNA, get your shit together. Realize where you're going. You about to go to Chicago. Get your shit together before you get there. Please get your shit together, because that crowd will fucking destroy you if you bring some bullshit to them. Alright, moving along. Austin Aries calls out Hardy. It was an okay match. You know, let's buy time until what's supposed to happen happens. You know, I think Austin Aries' intensity really stood out when you match his performance versus Jess. Aries was just intense from the get-go. The only thing that was great about this match was Matt Morgan coming out and hitting Jeff Hardy with the carbon footprint. And right before Matt Morgan's about to finish Jeff Hardy off with giving him a carbon footprint sandwich in between the ring posts, Bully Ray comes down and makes the save, and it's like it just felt over the top, you know. I've already said what I'm gonna say about Bully doing these good guy characteristics now, when he's supposed to be an asshole and a bad guy. But anyway, next we get Lockdown hype. We get Sting, he's backstage, dick riding his entire team, and then we get a recap of Kurt Angle unmasking Aces and Eights. Now, what was good was what happened next. We get an interview with Matt Morgan following up on his motive for attacking Hardy. That was good, TNA. I love the Leonidas beard he's rocking, but Morgan wearing a heavyweight title, or just the you can imagine him wearing it. He looks like a champion, so it'd be great. We get Briscoe and Angle hype. You know, after that, Briscoe comes out, and for the first half of his promo, he wants to ride Kurt Angle's dick, and then he tries to explain his motive, which we've already heard. I'm a Briscoe, and it's like, Briscoe just doesn't feel real to me on the mic. He just talks with his body a lot. It doesn't feel real. It feels like he's at a movie audition or something, or just out there, you know. Angle comes out and just completely forgets about the big unveil that's going to send shockwaves through TNA and goes after Briscoe. He owns Briscoe, which we saw coming. And then D'Lo kicks Kurt Angle in the nuts and reveals himself to be the vice president. Yeah, this is the moment that really gave the show a black eye. I'm like, TNA, that's all? That's the best you can come up with? And TNA's like, yeah. Oh my god, you know. And that's what really just was like, man, fuck Aces and H at this point. This is the big payoff. I did not watch the Sting and Devon match that followed this, because it just didn't matter to me. Fast forward, we get Velvet Sky. She's backstage being interviewed. Gail Kim interrupts, being a bitch on camera, and she gets slapped by Velvet. And let me say this about the slap: when you slap someone in wrestling on camera, first off, check the description box and you'll see how you are supposed to slap someone. if you're gonna slap someone and walk away from it, it has to sound like you slapped the shit out of him. This is like a love tap, and Gail was like, ah, you know, and I'm like, come on, Gail, you're your fucking audience are adult males most of the time, or teenage boys who are gonna be slapped by girls at some point of their life, and you're like, you get a love tap and you're selling it like that. They should have pounced on each other and started tearing each other apart at that point. Should just improv at that point because that slap was garbage. All right, we get the gut check judges next, weighing in on Eva Lisa and Lady Tappa, and they basically say everything the whole YWC has been saying about the match last week between them. They choose Lady Tappa over Eva Lisa, which is surprising to me. But it's kind of like I would have been fine with either girl, but you just made that entire match last week irrelevant. Choosing Lady Tappa is like watching the Super Bowl and giving the loser the championship trophy. You know, you just completely forget that, hey, I just won the thing, man. No, we're going to give it to the loser because we like this one better. TNA, if you were going to give it to Lady Tappa, let Lady Tappa win the match because it makes more sense. And I know some people are like, well, just sign both of them. I was all for having both of them, but it's like there's better indie wrestlers out there, females that can get it done a lot better. Look up Athena if you don't know what I'm talking about. All right. Next, we get low stereotypicals and with Velvet and Bad Influence with Gail Kim. This was an above average match, and this is why it was above average to me. You got to see not divas, but knockouts do stuff that chicks don't normally do. You got to see them getting cheap shots in on the guys and all that. Hernandez Supermax stole the show in this match. That's all I'm gonna say. We get AJ Styles being a dick on camera, basically, which was good to see. We get another Ace and Eights match. No one cares. Fast forward. Then we get Kenny King cutting a promo. Okay. But that's all we got of the X Division the entire night. So it's like, come on, man, really? Wes Briscoe, take notes on how Kenny King cut that promo because you need to duplicate that. Next, we get ODB backstage talking at, standing with Eric Young, where it's great to see that she hasn't been forgotten by TNA, but it was like, you want us to take Eric Young seriously now. And Sting is kind of like, oh, well, I'm going to choose James Storm over you every day. And I'm like, thank you. Any TNA fan would choose James Storm over Eric Young, so I'm glad that they didn't fart on us with that decision and just Eric Young suddenly the man over James Storm. Gut check happens. Lady Tappa comes out. I liked her on the mic because normally I see a lot of people try to ignore the crowd's reaction and just feed through their promo when they're on the mic, but she just kind of played with it and did her thing. She's not a master on the mic, but it wasn't bad, It just, I understand why they chose Tappa, because if they chose Ivelisse, what would have happened? She's got an MMA background, yeah, but it's like she's about the same height. The only knockout that actually stands out of all of them currently signed to the roster is Gail, because she's Asian. Everyone else just kind of fits a certain mold. Lady Tappa will stand out, and it's like if Lady Tappa would have came out differently, maybe just came down to the ring, wrecked shop, and left as her debut, I don't think people would complain. But it's like, sometimes people want some ass over someone who can actually benefit the division. And I think Ivelisse could have benefited the division. I think Ivelisse should have gotten the contract, but it's like, what are you gonna do? Like I said, they just made the match last week irrelevant by doing that. Then we got Robbie talking shit, and yeah, they're gonna fight it, Lockdown. TNA just make it a squash match. Not gonna say anything else about that. Okay, the main event match. James Storm is back in the main event. Yes. Ken Anderson is back in the main event. Yes. The match kills time. Then we get Team TNA Aces and Eights face off. Anderson wins, but nobody really cares because it's the Aces and Eights, right? Alright, now we get the big payoff of the night, which is Bully Ray and Hardy face to face. They get on the mic and they act like BFFs and all that, which makes more sense than what we get from WWE, where one guy suddenly friends with this guy he's been kicking ass with, you know. It's all fucked up. But this time it made sense because of all the history between the two to see them show the respect. Jeff was okay, Bully was great, but the segment completely was killed by Taz interrupting it with his commentary. It's like, if you're trying to be a heel and make me hate you, Taz, you know, congratulations, but this was supposed to be a big iconic moment. You know, they gave each other props and daps, and Hogan's coming out, and he gets on the mic, oh my god, it's Hogan! Like, yeah, no shit, man, it's fucking Hulk Hogan. Shut the fuck up, man, and let him do what he do. But I would love to see Hardy come back and really sell that he wants to kick Bully's ass, but that's not Hardy's thing. We've seen him try to do in the past, and it's probably better that he did do it. Hogan comes out, cuts a promo, Aces and Eights comes out, and for no reason jump Bully and Hardy, and the show closes with a big brawl. In conclusion, this episode of Impact, it didn't really hype me for Lockdown. The Aces and Eights, we saw them take 10 steps backwards this week. I'm like, D-Lo? Really, TNA D-Lo? That's your big unmasking? That's what we've been waiting to know? Is that it's D-Lo? And it's like, I understand the death. You want to add, well, this is their behind the scenes guy and whatnot, but wasn't that what Taz was supposed to be? You know, the two biggest names you've added to the Aces and Eights are guys who stopped wrestling and are way past their prime. Man. Going into Lockdown, there's only one match I want to see. Maybe two. Bully, Ray, and Hardy in a tag title match. The rest of it, I really don't care about. After the lack of anything remotely interesting happening this week with the Aces and Eights, we can just hope that the stable comes to an end at Lockdown, but we already know it's not going to happen because they're pushing Aces and Eights merchandise now, so you know they're going to be around for a while. What killed and destroyed and shit on this entire show was the D-Lo unveil. Like, if we got AJ Styles versus Chris Daniels caliber matches from everyone tonight, the D-Lo reveal would have really shitted on everything anyway. So it was an uphill battle basically after they revealed D-Lo as the vice president of Aces and Eights. You know, we're like, really, man? This is what we've been waiting for? You know, come on, TNA, man. Y'all know we don't. Oh my god, TNA. What the fuck were you guys thinking, man? But I'm not a completely negative person. There's two ways to save Aces and Eights. It's not Eric Bischoff, it's not Hogan, it's not Joseph Park at this point. That wouldn't even save this group. If they took AJ Styles, Sting, James Storm, and Samoa Joe and put them all on Aces and Eights in one episode, it would not save the group. But this is number one way of saving them. Scott Steiner is revealed as the leader. Scott Steiner, who's been bashing TNA forever, is revealed to be the leader, and it makes sense, you know, why this group came together. Bunch of disgruntled workers. Number two, the Damian Lillard theory. Damian Lillard, for those of you who don't know who he is, he plays for the Trailblazers, and he's probably going to win Rookie of the Year. You know, all I'm saying is you take a really great indie wrestler who has not been in the TNA or WWE ring, and you reveal him as the big star of Aces and Eights. He's the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer of the group, the leader who's spearheading the charge. Because Devon is just not working for me. D-Lo, we already know that ain't going to work. Taz, no. The only person in the Aces and Eights group that actually fits for me is Doc. He's the only one that just kind of makes sense to me. Ken Anderson, okay, I'm okay with it. But, man, give us someone we've never seen before, spearhead the Aces and Eights, and turn these guys around. Alright, pluses and minuses to the show. Bully Ray, Matt Morgan being brought back into the title picture. Negatives, gut check, D-Lo, no X Division. And how the hell did Kurt Angle come back without a scratch on him? How the fuck did that happen, man? He got jumped and beat down and they just let him go afterwards? Like, really? MVP of the night for me personally, I'm torn between Hernandez, Supermax, who basically made that match the best one of the night, and Matt Morgan to an extent. But it's hard to say Matt Morgan because he was only on camera for 10 seconds. You can put Hardy, who wrestled and still got on the mic, but it's like, I mean, I don't know. He didn't really cut and say anything edgy on the mic. He just rode Bully Ray's jock on the mic, and that was it, you know? In conclusion, would I buy Lockdown? No, because there's only one match I'm dying to see. They spent all this energy and money into pushing the aces and eights at us, and it's like, that's the best you can give us? All this money, time, and energy that you're putting into pushing this group, and you just make them look worse and worse, TNA. And that's all I have. Hope you guys like this review. Like it. Check the links to learn how to properly slap someone in a promo. And also recently did a hangout live stream with Brian LG100 and Wolfman12144. I'll put a link to that in the description box. Talk about a lot of shit, but it all just check it out if you got nothing better to do. I'm out.